So we will go on to crack and discuss on an efficient, optimized edge AI model that can handle bulkier AI workloads on the edge and near the edge at the same time. Fireside chat coming up on the stage. Why edge computing and AI is the ultimate mix. Allow me to please warmly welcome our seasoned specialist who will be taking up the stage. Could you please have Dr. Puneet Kaur Kohli, the CTO from Universal Sompo General Insurance. Please welcome him with a good round of cheer. Dr. Puneet looks like absolutely a man with a very pleasant demeanor. And Govind Samant, the additional VP Adani Electricity Mumbai. We have Dr. Puneet and Govind taking up the stage. And Yogesh, we need your presence back on the stage. Yogesh Jiandani, the management consultant, Information Security Systems International. So that's how. Well, Yogesh, are you by any chance thinking about really having a fireside chat?
I was wondering where's the fire. In fact, the topic is a little
Yeah, please, over to you.
linked to the previous one. And I was just wondering, are we sitting in an Olympics? We're thinking about faster, higher, and better. The previous topic was taking the solution to the data, trying to save time, trying to get the businesses to get the most out of the data. And now we are going to talk about taking the compute to the edge and also now doing AI at the edge. This is an area where my colleagues here will throw in insights. They'll probably throw their vision or maybe even some practical examples which they might have gone through for AI at the edge. So let me start with Dr. Puneet. Dr. Puneet, why AI at the edge?
Pardon me? Can you please?
Why is AI getting deployed at the edge?
Okay, so artificial intelligence, it's what we can talk about is something which is a need of the hour today. And it's something which has become like a discipline which gets embedded in any process you talk about. So man-made intelligence, whereas the engines which get defined artificial intelligence, the need case is basically defining in which process we want to embed that particular process. Now, when you talk about the compute edge, for the digital transformation, what we go to market is a very strong connect. What we see, the traditional way of, working on, long wait for 8 hours of, 8, months of delivery of your traditional based of IT in terms of hardware specs and then hosting them on either an internal data centers or outside data centers is something where you can't even launch a product basically. So digital transformation is that you have to be cutting edge. And in that, if your front end is pretty ready, then one has to be even looking up how do we, have a strategy within next 72 hours or maybe another 1 week's time I can launch my product. So either it is a minimum viable product or anything. So in this kind of product where you do small incremental rollouts or you do some small room pilots, there we really need to have an understanding that with what is the kind of concurrency that we are building up. Now, when we're talking about edge, so we really need to understand the product that we are launching, what kind of target market or target audience we are catering to. For that, there is an analysis which goes in very quite deep and depth that what is our capacities that we are building up. And if artificial intelligence is playing some kind of, maybe a logic which gets defined, so it will give you a much trigger much in advance as and when we are scaling up or scaling down, it will give you a mechanism in terms of our hosting. That is one trigger which CIOs need today, which is one thing. Secondly, in terms of information security, which also plays a very big role. So information security, when we talk about, starting from product enablement, hosting of the things, then once it gets launched and, a big bang campaign goes and everything is there. So information security also talks about what are the kind of traffics that we are getting in terms of that. So artificial intelligence plays a very big role in over this thing. So that is something which we have to work on.
Okay, so just taking off from what Dr. Puneet just said, does it sound that bring your own AI? Is that what it sounds like? And what are some of the applications you're seeing for AI at the edge?
Thank you, Yogesh. So, if we see some of the common applications, okay, in Edge AI, like real-time traffic monitoring, then CCTV cameras, then traffic parking sensors, okay, these are the common applications. But if we talk about the some industry-specific applications for AI, for example, then I would like to talk about the energy utility, for example. So energy utility means oil, electricity. These are the segments which are covering in energy. So basically, there, if we see, look at these industries, their network is widespread. Okay, say for electricity or even for gas. Okay, their network is widely spread, and they install lot of sensors to gather the data from the site. For example, some voltage parameter or current parameter or even the gas flow, okay. And in that scenario, they install the IoT sensors to gather the data. For these kind of industries, basically AI is very important, and Edge AI is important because they are generating lot of data at the site, and all data is not required to be bring back into the cloud. So locally they can do the compute at the local level, and for the immediate action in immediate action they can use that Edge AI, okay. And for the analysis, trend analysis, or maybe the historical data analysis, and deriving some insights from the in the historical data, they can use the cloud AI for that purpose.
Added to it, that also is something like the real-time feeds, what we are talking about. The real-time feeds really, gives up a lot of traffic, its visibility and all that stuff. But when we have so many devices on internet, probably it gives you a real feel that aging is something which will give you an analysis. But if you really say that, the edge artificial intelligence, what we need to do, it depends from domain to domain. Whether it is being used for a sort of an insurance domain in right mind, the energy centers is something, or something like which we talk about a center which gives the real feeds in terms of an analysis. So, these feeds are one which at times give you a trend in terms of prescriptive analysis, but predictive analysis is something which is still a myth. So artificial intelligence based on the industry forecast and all really plays a very big role. So their artificial intelligence can be said that industries, maybe it is 5 years, 10 years down the line, I don't know we get any kind of historical data there. Because after pandemic, definitely the complete mindset and trends have changed. It's more of an analysis that what is the new voice that the customer, what kind of engagements are we going on. So keeps on changing. You can see the trends is changing every quarter. Every quarter we see that the entire historical patterns are changing. We can really not do any deep dive that what will be another 1 year's time gap, what will be the real need of the hour. So it is an ongoing basis. It's like we have to evolve. At least, especially after this digital pandemic and COVID has taken place, 2 years down the line, the entire trends in the market has got revamped.
Okay, so you talked about the AI applications being more specific around cameras, traffic sensors. So my question to you, Dr. Puneet, is that is Edge AI only limited to IoT, or are you looking at some other applications of Edge AI coming up? And where are some of the early adopters in their journey?
Okay, thank you for that question. So IoT is not the only area where we can see. Compute traffic is something where we look forward for things. Basically, we are not yet on, basically what we call it, the trend that entire world is moving on for the industry 5.0. So it's more of the personalization and all that stuff. So there are certain social media analytics also. The behavioral pattern, sentimental analytics, what is also taking its own shape. Because the customer is saying, what kind of personalization am I getting today? So if I say that I represent one general insurance company and there are 32 general insurance companies which are doing the same kind of business with the India subcontinent, but why me? Why should I get a differentiation? So when we say that what we get as a differentiation is about the products that we launched, right? The product gives you an edge, what basically you can cater, something which has come from a regulated body, something which will give you as a value added services as a part of personalization to your customer. Be it in terms of, I talk about general insurance, it talks about motor, it talks about health, or in terms of crop, basically where we do insurance. Sensors really play a very big role. Man-made machines playing a very big role today. When we're talking about even the AirPods that we are using. You just, when you are, if you are integrated with your Siri and you are on your AirPods, the phone comes and immediately you get a trigger, somebody has called and she even reads out the entire message to you. What is that? That's smart intelligence. So basically, all these things that we are catering today is something where we need to do some kind of advancement, understanding that what are the scenarios that could become as a new technology invent or advent which might take place. That is something which is, it cannot be limited to any one or two application. It depends from domain to domain, industry to industry, experiences of the people that they share, and smart analytics which is running over the internet, entire social, all data, everything coming into one totem, actually.
Okay, so while I was thinking Edge AI from the conversation, it's more on IoT. You clarified that it's not, and you're looking at, would it be fair to call it as personalized AI?
We can say that. We cannot say bring your own AI, but we can say Industry 5.0 could be personalized AI.
All right, so let me just go across again to...
It is called advanced human sciences, actually. Okay. AI would be termed as, if become personalization, it will call human sciences.
So you already answered one of my questions of whether Edge AI will complement Cloud AI. And so the thing is about what is the kind of cost which is there. If I look at enterprise applications and if I look at personalized applications, right? Are we there yet from an Edge AI perspective? Do we have the infrastructure which is available to anyone and everyone? And what are the kind of costs you are saying? Are you expecting companies like NVIDIA or others only to deliver, or are you seeing more of the competition also coming up and delivering more Edge AI solutions?
To answer this question, let us understand the architecture of the Edge AI. Okay, so if you see the infrastructure part, so there are three components. One is the sensors, second is the compute, and third one is the network. So as far as sensors are concerned, most of the organizations have already invested in the sensors to some extent. I am not saying the full extent, to some extent. Now, the second part is the compute part. Okay, so compute, if you, depending upon the kind of use case or the AI model you are trying to build, you may have to decide whether you have to go with only a CPU, or you require a HPU, or GPU you require. That you need to decide, basically, depending upon what kind of model you want to build there. So that will play a critical role there while deciding the cost for the infra part. Network, we consider that because we are at the edge of the network, it is morely on the intranet part for if we are talking about the Edge AI, okay. But having said that, the 5G is now evolving, okay. So once the 5G will be there, that time this complexion of the network is going to change to some extent. Now if you move to the next layer, that is the application layer, okay. So whether you build your application of your own or you buy the application, that also plays a critical role in terms of the cost component of it. And third is basically the managed layer, how you are going to manage the entire applications, considering all the infra as well as the application part. So looking at that, now if you look at the technology advancement, okay, so these Intel or Qualcomm, this processor, they are investing heavily in terms of these AI chips. Okay, and this market is going to grow fast in next 5 years, at least a 16% CAGR we are expecting to grow. So that technology anyway is going to evolve over the time, and we are going to get the cost benefits in terms of all these three components.
All right, we just run over time, and so I'd like to summarize our discussion. What are the couple of key takeaways which I have from you? One is obviously the use case which you talked about. That is what is driving, whether it's the infrastructure, that is probably not the main worry. What you said is look at the use case, look at the application. You can even bring your own application maybe, or get the AI, and AI is moving along, and we are not just only focused on edge AI from a IoT standpoint, but we are more looking at personalized AI. Said that, thanks to my esteemed colleagues for sharing their thoughts, and we can network with them over the dinner and have some more interesting conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.